No one spoke when the human entered the weapons lab. The silence wasn't polite. It was surgical, the kind that followed the appearance of something unexpected and unwelcome. Rows of alien cadets stood beside advanced fabrication stations inside the Vanguard Combat Academy, an orbital institution that trained the galaxy's finest military engineers. Humans didn't attend this academy. They studied theory, diplomacy, logistics, never weapons design. Yet here he was. Evan Carter paused just inside the threshold, feeling dozens of non-human eyes tracking every movement. Multi-lensed optics adjusted. Bioscanners hummed softly. Several cadets exchanged glances that needed no translation. Baseline species, someone muttered. Evan's neural translator didn't miss it. At the front of the lab stood Instructor Threx, a towering Karuan with segmented armor-like skin and 4 mechanical limbs folded behind his back. His presence alone carried authority. His drone, floating silently above the testing arena, carried intimidation. "You have one standard cycle," Threx announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Using only materials available in this facility, you will design and construct a ranged weapon capable of neutralizing my combat drone." A hologram flickered to life, displaying the drone's specifications. Adaptive shielding, threat priority targeting, autonomous evasion routines. Your evaluation will be based on effectiveness, innovation, and efficiency. The room erupted into motion. Alien cadets swarmed their stations, manipulating holographic schematics with extra limbs, tendrils, and neural links. Energy conduits ignited. Molecular forges began assembling components at terrifying speed. Evan didn't move. He watched. A tall insectoid cadet began constructing a particle lance. 2 silicon-based twins coordinated silently as they assembled a magnetic accelerator. Across the room, a scaled warrior calibrated a plasma emitter with military precision. Evan finally stepped forward, not toward the fabrication arrays, but toward the materials bay. He passed graviton coils, energy capacitors, exotic alloys. Technology decades beyond anything humanity had fielded publicly. His hand hovered over a compact pulse core, then withdrew. Instead, his eyes landed on a neglected bin marked elastic polymers, obsolete. He knelt, pulled out a strip, tested its tension. A faint smile touched his face. "You won't breach the shield threshold with junk," sneered a nearby cadet. "The drone ignores anything below Class 6 energy output." Evan didn't respond. He gathered quietly. A forked aluminum brace, polymer strips, a leather patch, steel bearings from a mechanical kit. And as the lab filled with the glow of advanced weaponry, the only human in the room sat cross-legged on the floor, building something his grandfather had taught him when he was a child. 2 hours passed. The laboratory now resembled a battlefield armory. Weapons hovered, glowed, and pulsed with contained power. Energy signatures spiked across the room as cadets proudly fine-tuned their creations. Some devices bent light. Others hummed with gravitational distortion. Evan's station remained empty. He hadn't claimed a console, hadn't activated a forge. He sat on the floor, hands steady, carefully binding elastic polymers to the arms of his aluminum frame. Instructor Threx noticed. One of his mechanical limbs extended slightly as he approached, optics focusing on the object in Evan's hands. The translator hesitated, then emitted a sound approximating disdain. "What is that?" Evan didn't look up. "A slingshot." Silence. "A kinetic projectile launcher," Evan added politely. "Low energy. Manual tension." Threx's posture shifted. "Such devices were abandoned before my species achieved orbital flight. My grandfather used one to scare predators off livestock," Evan replied. "Worked just fine." Threx turned away. Dismissed. By the end of the cycle, the cadets lined up proudly, each weapon more impressive than the last. The drone hovered in the arena, its adaptive shields cycling through visible spectrums as if eager. "Commence trials," Threx commanded. One by one, weapons fired. Plasma bolts splashed harmlessly across shimmering barriers. Magnetically accelerated rounds curved away under defensive fields. Phase disruptors flickered, then collapsed against countermeasures. Each failure was precise, calculated, predictable. The drone adjusted, learned, adapted. After dozens of attempts, the floor was littered with scorched plating and frustrated cadets. Threx turned slowly toward Evan. "You may proceed," he said. "So we may conclude." Evan stood. He rolled his shoulders once. Calm. Observant. While others had attacked blindly, Evan had been watching. counting intervals, noting delays, observing how the drone's shields responded only to perceived threats, energy spikes, electronic signatures, exotic particles. He stepped into the arena. The drone barely registered him. No alarms. No targeting shift. Evan reached into his pouch and selected a steel bearing, weighing it in his palm. The room filled with quiet laughter. Your projectile will not trigger the defense grid, Threx said calmly. The drone will ignore it. That's the idea, Evan replied. He placed the bearing into the leather cradle, pulled back the bands. The tension felt familiar. Honest. No algorithms. No power draw. Just physics and muscle memory. The drone hovered motionless, confident in its invulnerability. Evan released. The bearing vanished. There was no flash. No energy surge. Just a sharp crack as metal struck composite housing. The drone jolted. A warning chirped. What? Someone began. The ventral shield node shattered. Sparks erupted as the drone's primary defensive layer collapsed unevenly. The machine wobbled, recalibrating too late. Evan fired again. Another crack. Secondary generator destroyed. The drone dropped, struggling to stabilize. Shields gone. Armor exposed. The lab erupted in shouts, but Evan didn't stop. Third shot. Sensor array destroyed. Fourth. Gyroscopic stabilizer compromised. The drone spun, crashed, and skidded across the arena floor, smoke curling from ruptured seams. Silence returned. Instructor Threx stared at the wreckage. At the human. The defenses, he began, were designed to stop advanced threats, Evan finished. You optimize them to ignore anything simple. He lowered the slingshot. Low-energy kinetic projectiles don't register as danger. No signature. No warning. Threx's optics dimmed, then flared again. Your evaluation, he said slowly, is flawless. He turned to the stunned class. You witnessed a failure of perspective. Evan packed away his slingshot. Across the room, alien cadets stared not with contempt, but something new. Concern. Later, analysts would dissect the footage frame by frame. They would adjust algorithms, lower threat thresholds, add new protocols. But the lesson had already escaped containment. Instructor Threx addressed the class one final time. Complexity without humility creates blindness, he said. This human did not win through power. He won through understanding. Evan listened quietly. He thought of summer afternoons. Tin cans. A patient voice correcting his aim. Before he left the lab, Threx stopped him. You have altered our doctrine. Evan nodded. My grandfather would have liked that. Across the galaxy, military academies updated a new classification. Threat type, human. Not for their technology, but for their ingenuity.